In the first installment of this apartment series, I gave you a tour of the SRO I lived in between October 2015 and July 2022. This video is going to give you a more general overview of life in an SRO. So, what is an SRO? SRO stands for Single Room Occupancy. It's a form of housing where residents rent small single rooms within a multi-tenant building where tenants share a kitchen, bathrooms, and laundry if it's available. Think of it like living in a dorm, except you have to bring your own toilet paper every trip to the toilet, and most of the people around you are 2 to 4 times the age of a typical college student. The SRO I lived in was 2 floors and had what I'd estimate to be about 40 units. And by units, I mean single rooms. Each room was about 8 by 10 feet and came with a sink, an overhead light, a closet, and a single electrical outlet. The rest of the building was shared space with the other 40 plus tenants. This included the halls, kitchen, restrooms, showers, and laundry. These were regularly cleaned by the building manager. Once in a while, hired help would do the cleaning, but it was mostly the building manager. Before the building manager, the cleaning was done by one of the tenants upstairs who also did most of the routine maintenance around the building. But one day he was found dead in his room from what sounds like may have been a drug overdose, which if you've ever lived in a building like this, wouldn't come as a shock. Anyway, let's move on to the food section. The building had one kitchen that all 40 plus units shared. It had an oven, a stove, and a sink. I did not use any of them because the kitchen was either occupied by other tenants cooking meals or by the roaches feasting off of the things that those tenants tossed out. I literally only ever used the kitchen to put out my trash because that was the designated location to do so. So, in my earlier years, I bought food that I could store in and around my mini fridge that I could heat up in the microwave whenever needed. I also ate out a lot. In fact, from basically the beginning of the pandemic until I moved out in July 2022, I ate almost all of my meals in the form of takeout from nearby North Beach restaurants. Now let's talk about the bathrooms. Each floor had one women's restroom and one men's restroom. The men's restrooms, both upstairs and downstairs, had 2 toilets each, so there were a total of 4 men's toilets in the building. The downstairs women's restroom only had 1 toilet, and I don't know how many the upstairs women's restroom had. Assuming the upstairs one had 2, that would make a total of 7 toilets shared amongst 40 plus units, but keep in mind that many of those units had entire families living in them. And as mentioned before, you needed to bring your own toilet paper to the bathroom because the building did not provide it. As annoying and gross as the toilet situation was, it still somehow wasn't as bad as the bathroom situations depicted in other SRO buildings based on what I've seen on YouTube. Moving on to the showers, there were 2 downstairs and 3 upstairs. Sometimes the 2 on my floor were occupied, so I'd have to walk the length of the hall and then upstairs wearing only a towel, so I could use one of the unoccupied showers upstairs. There was no ideal shower. Of the 2 on my floor, there was one that seemed to only get lukewarm at its hottest, and there was another that had a vent that looked like it could be peeked through by tenants upstairs. And of course, all the showers upstairs were seemingly built for people much shorter than my 6-foot tall frame. I often defaulted to one of the downstairs showers due to the shorter walk, and just dealt with the fact that I would always encounter a clump of another tenant's hair on the drain. It goes without saying that shower sandals are a must. Then there was the laundry room. There is a single grateful bone in my body that's thankful that I didn't have to regularly do my laundry at the local North Beach laundromat that's several blocks away and up a hill. Actually, I occasionally did have to go to that laundromat whenever the washing machine was broken. You heard that correctly, washing machine singular. 1 washing machine, 1 dryer, 40 plus units. All of the annoyances about that dynamic that you can imagine are probably accurate. Yes, the machines were coin operated, which necessitated semi-regular trips to stand in long lines at banks during lunch breaks. In a day and age where I could do just about all of my other banking on my phone. Yes, people would leave their clothes in the machines long after the machines were finished. And yes, the washing machine would occasionally break and be out of order for 1 to 2 weeks before it got fixed or replaced. Thus, the occasional trek up the hill to the laundromat that charges an arm and a leg for each load. And the dryer wasn't without its issues. The main one being where you'd put your coins in, turn it on, it works for about a minute, turns off, and then refuses to turn back on. Sometimes it turned back on. Other times I had to hang my clothes throughout my room to dry. Alright, enough about the stupid laundry. Let's talk about some other facts about the building. It was a walk-up, which means no elevator. You had to walk up a flight of stairs. This flight was fairly long due to the next fact, which is that the building was above a strip club. That meant that if you're a light sleeper, you'd probably find the noise level to be fairly high until 2 to 3 a.m. Speaking of disturbances, the fire alarm went off every once in a while because for whatever reason people like to cook food in the kitchen and leave and forget about the part where they have to come back and get the food and most importantly turn off the appliance. And one last fact about the building, occasionally the power would randomly shut off, likely due to someone plugging in something that sucked up too much juice. You just had to hope that you weren't doing something important on the internet during that moment. Moving on to the people I lived around, there were a few sketchy tenants, especially in the last few years of my stay. One woman who seemed to have a new boyfriend every few months always brought them over. Yes, you could hear their loud sex from her room, even over the music they tried to cover it with. And even more obnoxiously, you could hear the inevitable breakup fight she got into with each and every one of those boyfriends, many of whom needed to be escorted out of the building by police. And speaking of police, there were definitely tenants I witnessed moving their things out as the police, the building manager, and building owner stood by to watch. I don't know what those tenants did, but I'm guessing they didn't get the same "thank you for being such a great tenant" letter that I got after I moved out. Also, in my 7 years there, I probably had 8 to 10 packages that went missing. Because all the mail for the building gets dumped into the same spot for everyone to sort through and grab what is supposedly their own. Thankfully, nothing too expensive went missing, probably because I used the FedEx and UPS apps to redirect the more expensive things like camera equipment and computer equipment to designated pickup locations, away from the grimy hands of thieves. But thankfully, the majority of the people in the building weren't sketchy. The predominant demographic was ethnically Chinese, mostly elderly people who kept to themselves. I'll admit it was sometimes painful seeing the really old residents walk up and down those stairs, but they seemed to like me, probably because I never caused a disturbance. Like them, I kept to myself basically as much as humanly possible. What about social life in an SRO? For me, there was not much to speak of because this was not exactly a place friends or family could visit. On the rare occasion when my family was in town and stopped by, I'd have to leave the building and have a short conversation with them just outside of their car. As a shy introvert with little to no real social network, I relied heavily on dating apps, though they were a giant waste of time because it's unreasonable to assume any woman would want to visit that place. A place where you share toilets with dozens of other people. I know because I met women who agreed to come over until I told them about the place and then they stopped responding to my text messages. Regarding work and travel, for me this is where this place shines. I had 7 different jobs in the nearly 7 years I lived there. 2 of them were 12-minute walks away, and that was the farthest I had to go for any jobs. The others were 6 to 8-minute walks away or just working from home. The only exception was a hybrid job where the office was 20 minutes away, but that job was effectively remote. Living in an SRO enabled me to affordably reside in the neighborhood that was close to all of my jobs. It also enabled me to go on the only 2 vacations I've ever taken. The money you save on rent at a place like this could, in theory, go to travel or weathering a financial storm. Part of the reason I lived in an SRO for so long was because I didn't maintain well-paying work, thanks to the layoff I was part of in 2016 that sent my design career into a tailspin for 2 years. But that's for another series. That leads into my reasons to live in an SRO and my reasons to not live in one. The first reason to live in one is that it's cheap. It's an affordable way to live in an expensive region, city, or neighborhood. And as mentioned before, it can help weather tough financial times, like when I had to take a part-time minimum wage job stocking shelves at Safeway because I couldn't get hired to do any design work for over 2 years after getting laid off in 2016. Also, living in an SRO can enable you to spend more money on the city or experiences. Another reason to live in an SRO is that you'll probably have fewer chores to manage than you would in an apartment or a house. It's a simple lifestyle if you don't accumulate too much junk. And of course, there's the laundry list of reasons not to live in an SRO. I probably don't need to explain why I intentionally used the word laundry in that previous sentence. So we can just say all the aforementioned shared amenities. And as stated earlier, it's not great for dating as a man. Try getting a woman to visit you or frankly have anything to do with you if you live in an SRO and work overnight at a supermarket. And it's not good for social life in general if your social life depends on hosting people. And lastly, the $850 I paid monthly is a thing of the past as more people learn about the existence of these dwindling rooms and are likely willing to pay well over $1,000 a month for one. Anyway, this has been the second installment of my apartment series. If you're interested in more videos related to SROs, especially ones in San Francisco, I linked some below. I can't believe I spent 7 years of my life at that place.